Insight.
Mass General, Brigham and Women's, just a few of the hospitals in the Boston area swamped tonight with casualties.
Question is, how does a trauma center prepare for something like this? Our Jeremy Ross is at Froedtert. Jeremy, they are a level 1. They are prepared just as many hospitals in Boston are as well.
Absolutely, and that level 1 trauma designation is important to point out, Mary, because essentially what that means is having all the facilities needed to treat something like this under one roof. Froedtert Hospital would certainly be prepared for something like this, and as you had mentioned, as well as Ted, Boston has a number of similar hospitals, some of them considered absolutely world-class. But the types of injuries suffered in the marathon today, very different from the typical injuries seen in U.S. trauma centers. Normally, doctors would see things like car accidents or gunshot injuries. Today, doctors in Boston have seen the effects of so-called blast injuries and shrapnel. Here they describe those types of impacts as something between or involving both a gunshot wound as well as a car crash. So those injuries posing specific difficulties to doctors.
The blast injuries are different. They're not only penetrating injuries from all sorts of pieces of metal, as you said, you call them shrapnel, but there's also a blast effect. If you're close to the explosive device, the explosive device can send a blast wave that can also cause organ damage, so you have to consider that as well.
These particular injuries are described as the kind of things that you might see in a war zone or on a battlefield. And on that same note, Froedtert Hospital telling us that there are 3 reservists currently serving in the trauma center. They have experience in Afghanistan. We're live outside of Froedtert. Jeremy Ross, Fox 6 News.
Jeremy, thank you. Now, there is a hotline set up for family members seeking